Welcome to a special late for work edition of Driving Carelessly, the show in which we turn on the radio and talk about what it is that we find. So this is Sunday in New York. I can't tell which singer that is. Sounds good, right? That's back when people knew how to sing. But what I'm thinking about is New York. Before I ever went to New York, I already knew a lot about it. And just walking around, I wish I remember now, but the very first time I was in New York, just walking around, we saw, I don't know, Fifth Avenue, Carnegie Hall, Central Park, Brooklyn Bridge, Staten Island, Statue of Liberty, just name after name of, or places, place after place after place of things that I already knew the name of. So the preponderance of New York sites in our culture is just amazing. And I think I had a list of like 20 or 30, which, I don't need to name them all, don't remember them all. But the idea that there's a city in the world that I had never been to, that I already knew by reputation, these 20 or 30 locations was just amazing. And the World Trade Center, of course, we went up to the top of the one that you could go up to the top of. And looked out, and it seemed like we were high enough to see the curvature of the earth. But if you know how big the earth is, I don't think we were seeing the curvature of the earth, but it seemed like it. The Hudson River, just amazing, the number of things that I can't think of right now. Anyway, so my thesis is that New York was the capital of the United States. The first capital of the United States, but it had to give it up to become the capital of the world. Now, there are other cities in competition for capital of the world, right? We've got Paris. France does have a territory in every time zone. So there certainly was a time when France owned a lot more land, and the remnants of their empire officially still exists. France still exists in every time zone. That's the only country that is like that. But of course, London, the Commonwealth, and the vestiges of the British Empire, for some reason, we didn't really call it or think about it as the American Empire. But I suppose it's bigger now than it's ever been. Well, the word empire is just not really, doesn't really mean that much. I mean, it's an important concept to get, the Soviet Empire. But if you look at that one, we've got all of these map changes. But a lot of the countries that were part of the Soviet Empire, or part of Russia's Soviet Union itself, are still under the control, to some degree, of Moscow. It's just the way it is. So whether a province or a town is under the thumb of another party or not, it just depends to what degree. I mean, if the United States and China, so there's another capital of the world with possibility, Beijing. If the United States and Russia and China told some country to do something, they probably would have to do it. But it doesn't mean they're part of all three empires. Anyway, so when we look at the map, it's nicely colored, but they don't all agree, right? So I always think of the scene in The King and I when the King of Siam is showing a map, and on his map, Siam is huge. But on the map that Anna Leonowens grew up with, Siam wasn't that big. But we all live with a map in our heads in which certain things are big and certain things are not even on the map. And there isn't that much disputed territory anymore, but there certainly will always be disputed territory. Acres that people pretend are in their country, but somebody else pretends like it's in their country too. So what we're really talking about is authority. And Moscow's authority is not going to be as strong in every city because they can't have an army base in every city. And the same with Washington, D.C. or New York, which is really one thing, right? The Beltway, I would say. Isn't that the term for it? Anyway, so there is a conspiracy theory that London is the economical capital, Rome is the religious capital, and Washington, D.C., I guess maybe, Langley, Virginia, Pentagon, more accurately, is the military capital. And it's one big machine of religion and economics and military. And that's cute, right? There's some truth to that. But, are we forgetting the Church of England? Are we forgetting that Catholicism is not that strong in America? Well, North America. But I think rather than growing up without ever hearing that conspiracy theory, it's important to understand the West as a three-pronged Christian or post-Christian, capitalist or post-capitalist, largest military on the planet, consortium or empire or something. The other empire, which I haven't mentioned, is the Islamic Empire. And of course, it's divided up as well. So you won't find it as one big color on the map. But if you reduce everything to its larger cultural and religious and socioeconomic factors, then what's the capital of Islam? Right? It's not Baghdad anymore. It doesn't really seem like it's ever been Riyadh, but maybe it has. I don't know. I found it interesting that Morocco gave President Trump its most prestigious award that the government of Morocco could give. But there it is, out on the edge of the Islamic Empire, trading back and forth with Spain to be the edge. So, what would be the capital of that empire? What would be the capital of the other empires that have existed? I don't know. Good question. So we talk about the Roman Empire, and one of the conspiracy theories that interests me is that there never was a Roman Empire, and that one I don't understand because of language. Spanish words Latin words, Italian words, French words. Obviously, something connected them all. And doesn't it make sense that that would be the empire with roads and with sharing of books? Today, we've got the preponderance, we've got the dominance of English in the international what's it called? The koinonia, the common speech of the world. Is that the right word? I'm sleepy today. Anyway, so what I'm surprised is that there's not a stronger connection between India and the United States. India as the country in which there are the most English speakers of any country in the world, and the United States, which is the most powerful English-speaking country in the world. So it seems to me that there's an understanding that the United Kingdom and America are friends or in league with one another. But I wonder why we're not stronger with India. And perhaps we have some sort of agreement with Britain to let them whatever. But being right next to China and being one of the oldest cultures in the world and being English speaking, and I think being very free market, right? I think it seems like we would have a closer connection with India, and our goods, which are bads, could be made in India rather than in China, particularly our pharmaceuticals, which it'd be a big problem if that was suddenly cut off. So there's a lot of talk of United States, Russia, and China as the three powers in the world. But what about a resurgence of India? That would be an interesting thing. And we do have an Indian vice president, even though she does pretend like she's not Indian. So, anyway, I wonder what the effects are of having a woman as vice president. There's so much talk of people's demographics, and I think that talking about demographics is just reducing people rather than building them up. When it was said by Potato that he was going to choose a woman of color, he should have just said, I'm going to choose the best person for the job, and then chosen a woman of color. He should not have reduced her to a woman of color. He should have pretended like she was the best choice. Because maybe in his thinking she was, and maybe he would have been even telling the truth. But I don't know if he knows what truth is. I don't know if any politician knows what truth is. They just know expediency, it seems, or whatever will bring success. But the way that they define success is interesting to me. All right, so that is today's episode of Driving Perilously, the show in which we turn on the radio and talk about what it is that we find. Today we found Autumn in New York. I need to find out what singer that is. Good singer. I don't think it's Bobby Darin or Vic Damone, but it sounds kind of like him. And I think it's someone a little newer than that, but I'm not sure. But I just found out yesterday that Vic Damone recorded a lot of good songs around 1985. So good for him. He was no spring chicken, and they sounded. The one I heard yesterday sounded great. All right, so that's it for today's episode. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. Here it is about 9:30 on a glorious day in South Florida. I'm about to go say hi to 2 pregnant giraffes and a goat that just had a tooth removed. So that's it for today. All right, take care.